Prologue. The sound of her silence. I first noticed her because she never laughed. Everyone else in the cafe performed happiness like it was required for survival. Smiles stretched too wide. Laughter pitched too high. Conversations too loud. But she sat in the corner near the window, wrapped in silence like it was armor. She stirred her coffee exactly 6 times. Always 6. I counted. I always count. Her hair slipped over her shoulder when she leaned forward to read. A single strand brushed her lips. She didn't notice. I did. I noticed everything. The way her pulse fluttered at her throat when someone walked too close. The way her fingers tightened around the cup when the door opened. The way her eyes flicked to reflections before turning her head. She was afraid of something. I wanted to be it. Chapter 1. The First Rule. People think stalking is about following. It isn't. Following is sloppy, amateur, desperate. Real observation is patience. It's learning someone's life so well you could live it better than they can. Her name is Lena Hart. 24 years old. Lives alone. 3rd floor apartment. Right corner unit. Bedroom window faces east. She leaves it open exactly 3 inches at night, even in winter. She thinks fresh air keeps nightmares away. It doesn't. I know because I've watched her sleep. Not inside. Not yet. I sit across the street in my car where shadows swallow everything. From there I see the glow of her bedside lamp when she reads. I see when she tosses. When she curls. When she presses a pillow against her chest like she's holding someone who isn't there. Sometimes she whispers. I don't hear the words. But I will. I first followed her home 12 days ago. She didn't notice. Of course she didn't. I timed my steps with strangers crossing the street. I stopped when she stopped. Looked away when she turned. Reflections in glass storefronts told me everything I needed to know without risking her eyes on mine. She lives cautiously. Locks her door twice. Checks it once more. Then presses her forehead against the wood like she's listening for something on the other side. Me. Tonight she's late. That's new. Her schedule has been precise until now. Work, 9 a.m. to 5:12 p.m. Grocery stop, Wednesdays only. Cafe visit, alternate days. Lights off, 11:43 p.m. Deviation is dangerous. Deviation means something changed her routine. Something interfered. Something I didn't cause. My jaw tightens. I don't like variables. At 9:17 p.m. she turns the corner. Her shoulders are stiff. Her bag strap is wrapped around her wrist twice. Defensive. Protective. Alert. Someone scared her today. My pulse slows. Good. Fear makes people predictable. She walks faster than usual. Keys already threaded between her fingers like claws. Smart girl. When she reaches her building entrance, she glances behind her. Not at me. Past me. She thinks danger comes from behind. She has no idea the real threat is the one who never lets her see him. Inside her apartment, the lights flick on one by one. Kitchen. Hallway. Living room. She checks everything. Closet. Bathroom. Under the bed. I smile. She's careful. That's why she's perfect. Chapter 2. The Shape of Obsession. Obsession doesn't feel like madness. It feels like clarity. Like the first breath after drowning. People say love is blind. They're wrong. Love sees everything. I see her. Every detail. Every flaw. Every tremor of loneliness she tries to hide behind polite smiles and lowered eyes. She thinks she's invisible. I know she's not. Her routine resumes. She cooks pasta. Burns the sauce slightly. Eats sitting on the counter instead of the table. Scrolls her phone without really reading. Checks the door lock again. She does that when she's anxious. 3 checks means she's nervous. 5 checks means she's scared. Tonight she checks 7 times. Something happened. Someone upset her. The idea coils hot in my chest. Who? I don't get jealous easily. Jealousy is primitive. Possessiveness is refined. Jealousy screams. Possessiveness watches. I watch. At 10:02 p.m. she receives a message. Her face tightens. She doesn't smile. Good. Her thumb hovers above the screen for 12 seconds before she replies. I make a note. Someone makes her hesitate. I don't like that. Chapter 3. The Man She Doesn't See. The next morning I learn his name. Daniel. I hear it when he calls her outside her office building. She freezes when she sees him. Fear again. Interesting. He steps closer than she wants. I can tell by the way her spine stiffens and her shoulders draw inward. Prey posture. His hand touches her arm. My vision sharpens. Her pulse jumps in her throat. She forces a smile. Polite. Defensive. False. I hate him instantly. He talks too close to her face. Too familiar. Too entitled. I can't hear every word from across the street. But I hear enough. Just coffee. You owe me. Don't be dramatic. Her fingers curl into her sleeve. She wants to leave. He blocks her. Something inside me goes very still. I don't act. Not yet. Interference requires timing, precision, purpose. If I step in too early, she'll fear me. If I step in at the right moment, she'll feel saved. Daniel laughs. She flinches. That decides it. Chapter 4. Intervention. I cross the street slowly. Not rushed. Not aggressive. Just another passerby. I move behind him. Close enough to smell his cologne. Synthetic. Loud. Cheap. He doesn't notice me. She does. Her eyes flick to mine for half a second. Time stops. There it is. Recognition without memory. Her instincts understand something her mind doesn't. She looks away quickly. Good girl. I tap his shoulder. Lightly. He turns, annoyed. Yes? I smile politely. You're standing in a tow zone. He frowns. What? I nod past him. Traffic officers marking cars. He swears and spins around. There is no officer. There is no tow truck. But panic is easy to plant in shallow minds. He jogs toward the curb. Gone. Silence stretches between me and her. Up close, she smells like rain and paper and something warm underneath. Something human. Something real. Her eyes lift slowly to mine. Dark. Careful. Searching. Thank you, she says. Her voice is softer than I imagined. I memorize it instantly. You looked uncomfortable, I reply. Truth is attractive. Her throat moves as she swallows. I was. I don't like when people look uncomfortable. Also true. Her brows knit slightly. Why? Because I prefer when they look safe. Because I prefer when you look safe. Because I want to be the only thing that ever makes your heart race. Instead I say, it bothers me. She studies me like she's trying to solve a puzzle she didn't mean to pick up. Do I know you? My heartbeat slows. No. Her gaze lingers. Something inside her recognizes me anyway. Instinct. Prey always senses the predator eventually. The smart ones just don't know what they're sensing. Behind us, Daniel shouts. He's realized there's no tow truck. I step back. Distance restores mystery. You should go, I tell her quietly. She nods. Turns. Walks away quickly. But before she disappears into the crowd, she looks back. At me. Only me. That's when I know. She's mine. She just doesn't know it yet. Chapter 5. Patterns in the Static. Lena noticed the pattern on a Tuesday. Not because she was looking for one. Because it was looking for her. It started small, like all dangerous things do. A coincidence. A repetition. A feeling. She first felt it outside the bakery. The bell above the door chimed as she stepped out, the warm scent of sugar and cinnamon clinging to her coat. She paused on the sidewalk, adjusting the paper bag in her arms, eyes scanning the street automatically. Left. Right. Reflection in the window. Nothing unusual. Still. Her skin prickled. Not fear. Not exactly. More like awareness. Like when someone says your name softly from across a room and you don't hear it, but something inside you turns anyway. She told herself it was nothing. She always told herself that. By the time she reached her apartment building, the feeling had faded. She climbed the stairs, unlocked her door, and stepped inside. Same quiet. Same stillness. Same faint hum of the refrigerator. Safe. She exhaled, dropped her bag on the counter, and froze. There was a flower on the table. White. Single stem. Fresh. Her heart stumbled. She stared at it, waiting for logic to arrive. It didn't. Her door had been locked. Her windows were closed. No one had a key. No one. Slowly, she stepped closer. The petals were soft. Real. Not artificial. Not imagined. Her throat tightened. She didn't touch it. Instead, she checked the apartment. Closet. Bathroom. Under the bed. Behind the shower curtain. Empty. Always empty. Still. Her pulse wouldn't slow. Across the street, I watched her through the slit in my curtains. She found it faster than I expected. Good. Her breathing changed immediately. Faster. Shallower. Her shoulders lifted slightly toward her ears. Fear looks beautiful on her. Not terror. Not panic. Just that fragile edge of uncertainty where reality starts to blur. That's my favorite place. That's where people begin to need something. Someone. She didn't call the police. Of course she didn't. She doesn't trust systems. Authority makes her uneasy. I learned that on day 3, when she crossed the street to avoid a patrol officer even though he wasn't looking at her. She handles fear privately, quietly, internally, which means she'll come to her own conclusions. And the conclusions she reaches alone. Those are the ones she believes. She picked up the flower. Her fingers trembled. I leaned closer to the window. Say it, Laner. Say it. Her lips parted slightly. How? I smiled. She searched the apartment again. Slower this time. Listening. Pausing. Holding her breath to hear something other than silence. She checked the lock 3 times. Then 4. Then 5. I memorized each turn of the key. That night she didn't open her bedroom window. First change in routine. Progress. She lay in bed with the lamp on longer than usual, book open but unread. Her eyes moved across the same page again and again, never absorbing the words. Her mind was somewhere else. Trying to solve me. Trying to understand something she couldn't see. Her fingers drifted unconsciously to her throat, pressing lightly against her pulse. I wonder if she knows she does that when she's thinking about danger. Probably not. People rarely know their tells. That's why they're tells. At 11:58 p.m. she finally turned off the light. Later than usual. She curled onto her side, facing the wall. Away from the window. Away from me. I watched her until her breathing deepened. Until her muscles softened. Until sleep loosened her grip on control. Then I whispered, "Good night." She stirred. Just slightly. Her brow creased. Her lips moved. I leaned closer to the glass. "Stay," as she murmured in her sleep. My chest tightened. Stay. Such a small word. Such a dangerous invitation. Morning came grey and quiet. She left for work earlier than usual. Second change. Her eyes looked different today. Sharper. She stirred. Just slightly. Her brow creased. Her lips moved. I leaned closer to the glass. Stay, as she murmured in her sleep. My chest tightened. Stay. Such a small word. Such a dangerous invitation. Morning came grey and quiet. She left for work earlier than usual. Second change. Her eyes looked different today. Sharper. More alert. She scanned the street longer before stepping onto it. Good. She's learning. I followed at a distance. Not close enough to alarm. Not far enough to lose her. Distance is an art. Most people think proximity equals control. They're wrong. Control is knowing you could be close anytime you want. At the corner crosswalk she hesitated. Her gaze slid slowly across the crowd. Searching. For what? For me. My lips curved. Instinct again. She doesn't know my face, but something inside her remembers my presence. Bodies remember what minds forget. She reached her office building. Paused. Looked behind her. Our eyes almost met. I turned slightly before they could. Not yet. Not today. Anticipation is sweeter than contact. Inside, she worked. Typed. Answered calls. Smiled politely. No one else noticed the difference in her. But I did. Every movement carried tension underneath it now, like a violin string pulled just a little too tight. One more twist, and it would snap. At noon she checked her phone. No messages. Her shoulders lowered slightly. Interesting. She expected one. From who? I made a note. At 2:14 p.m. it arrived. Her screen lit. Her spine stiffened. Her thumb hovered. Same hesitation as yesterday. Same number. Daniel. My jaw flexed. She read the message. Her lips pressed together. She didn't reply. Good girl. But the message came again. And again. And again. Each vibration of her phone made her shoulders tense tighter. My fingers curled slowly at my sides. Persistence is a flaw, and Daniel is full of them. At 2:18 p.m. she turned the phone face down. Avoidance strategy. Temporary. I could fix this for her. I could solve this problem. Remove it. Silence it. Erase it. The thought slid through my mind like silk. Not violent. Not rushed. Just inevitable. She lasted 12 minutes. Then she picked up the phone and typed a reply. Her pulse fluttered fast in her throat. I didn't need to see the screen. I knew what she wrote. Please stop. He didn't stop. Her phone buzzed again instantly. Her breathing shortened. Her eyes flicked toward the office door like she was considering leaving. I tilted my head. That wouldn't do. She shouldn't have to run. Not when I'm here. I stepped into the hallway. No one noticed me. No one ever does. 5 minutes later, Daniel's phone rang. He answered. His voice was loud. Annoyed. What? I didn't speak. Silence can be louder than threats. Hello, he snapped. I breathed once into the receiver. Slow. Controlled. Deliberate. His voice changed. Who is this? Another breath. Closer this time. He swallowed. I swear to God, if this is some joke. I hung up. Inside her office, Lena's phone stopped vibrating. Her shoulders slowly lowered. Her lungs filled fully for the first time in minutes. Relief. Soft. Quiet. Fragile. I watched it bloom across her expression like sunrise. You're welcome. By evening, she almost looked normal again. Almost. But the difference remained. Because once someone realizes they're being watched, even if they don't know by who, they never fully forget the feeling. It lingers. In the spine. In the skin. In the space between breaths. That night she opened her bedroom window again. Exactly 3 inches. An invitation. Or maybe a test. I crossed the street slowly, silently, stopped beneath her window, looked up. Her light was off, her silhouette faint against the curtains. Sleeping, trusting. I placed something on the sill. Not a flower this time. Something better. Something personal. Chapter 6. When Prey Turns Its Head. Laner didn't sleep again that night. Not really. Her body lay still. Her eyes closed. Her breathing slow and even, the performance of rest. But inside, her mind moved like something trapped behind glass, pacing, circling, pressing against invisible walls. The bracelet lay on her nightstand. She didn't remember placing it there. She didn't remember crossing the room. She didn't remember touching the window. But it was there. Proof. Not of a person. Of a presence. Morning arrived without relief. Light crept through the curtains in pale lines, striping the floor, the wall, her face. She stared at the ceiling as if it might answer something for her. It didn't. Nothing did. Questions filled the silence instead. How did it get there? Who has a key? Who's been inside? Who knows me well enough? Her throat tightened. To know what's mine? Across the street, I watched her wake. She didn't stretch, didn't yawn, didn't check her phone like she always did. She just lay there, staring upward, perfectly still. Thinking. I felt warmth spread slowly through my chest. She's close now. Close to understanding she isn't alone. Close to feeling the outline of me in the dark. She sat up abruptly. Her eyes went straight to the bracelet. Not fear. Recognition. Her fingers lifted it carefully, as if it might vanish again if she moved too quickly. Her pulse beat hard in her throat. I could see it from here. I always see it. She stood, walked to the window, paused. Her hand hovered over the latch. Not opening. Not closing. Just resting there. Testing. Feeling. Listening. Her instincts were louder now. Good. Instinct is the truest language humans have. And hers was finally starting to speak. She pushed the window open wider. Cool air slid into the room. Her gaze moved slowly across the street. Left. Right. Up. Down. Searching. For me. My lips curved faintly in the shadows. You won't find me unless I want you to. And I don't. Not yet. But something changed in her expression. Not disappointment. Not relief. Expectation. She felt me. Not sore. Felt. That invisible thread tightening. that quiet awareness prickling along the back of her neck. Her voice barely existed when she whispered, "I know you're there." My breath slowed. "Say it again." Her fingers curled against the window frame. "I don't know what you want," as she said softly, "but I know you're real." The words settled into the air between us like a promise. I didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe, because this moment mattered. This was the shift, the precise second a story changes direction. When fear stops running and starts looking. She stayed at the window for a long time, long enough that her shoulders relaxed slightly, long enough that curiosity began softening the edges of her tension. Fear sharpens people. Curiosity draws them closer. And she was drifting from one into the other exactly as I hoped she would. Finally, she stepped back, closed the window, locked it, checked it once, only once. Progress. The rest of her morning unfolded differently than usual. She moved slower, watched longer, listened more carefully. She paused at her door before leaving, fingers resting on the knob, head tilted slightly like she was waiting for something. For me to stop her? For me to speak? For me to reveal myself? I didn't. Restraint is devotion. Outside, the street carried its normal sounds. Cars passing, shoes on pavement, distant voices, ordinary life. But she didn't walk like everything was ordinary anymore. She walked like she knew something invisible was walking with her. Halfway to work, she stopped, turned suddenly, scanned the crowd. Her eyes passed over me, didn't see me, but her brow furrowed. Her instincts tugged. Close. So close. I almost let her. Almost stepped forward. Almost said her name. But anticipation is a sweeter addiction than contact. So I stayed still. And she turned away. At the office, she didn't sit right away. She stood beside her desk, eyes moving slowly across the room, studying faces like she'd never seen them before. Cataloguing, evaluating, measuring. Good girl. Learn your surroundings. Know your exits. Understand your cage. Her coworker asked if she was okay. She smiled, said yes, but the smile didn't reach her eyes, because now she knows something no one else in that room does. Someone is watching. Someone is close. Someone knows her. At 11:07 a.m. she checked the hallway camera feed on her phone. I tilted my head. Interesting. She didn't know that feature existed before. She must have searched for it this morning. Smart. Prepared. Adaptive. I liked that about her. She watched the footage carefully, frame by frame. Her lips parted slightly as she studied it, looking for movement, for shadows, for clues. For me, she wouldn't find anything. I mapped the camera angles days ago, memorized blind spots, timed rotations, calculated delays. She's cautious. I'm precise. Still, the fact that she checked made something warm slide through my ribs. She's trying to understand me, trying to find me, trying to meet me halfway. At lunch, she didn't sit with her coworkers. She chose a table near the window, facing the street, facing me. Her food sat untouched. Her eyes watched reflections in the glass, waiting, listening, feeling. I stepped closer, just enough that if she leaned forward slightly, she might see the outline of me in the reflection behind her shoulder. Her breathing slowed. Her gaze sharpened. Her fingers stilled on the table. She felt it. That awareness again. That pull. That thread tightening. Slowly, she turned her head. I stepped back into shadow. Her eyes scanned the sidewalk. Empty. Her lips parted faintly. Not fear. Not relief. Something else. Something softer. Something dangerous. Anticipation. She whispered, barely audible, "I know you're here." My chest tightened. Not from tension. From satisfaction. Because she was right. I am here. I've always been here. Watching. Waiting. Learning. Loving. She sat there for another full minute before finally picking up her fork. But she didn't eat. Her thoughts were somewhere else now. Not on food. Not on work. On me. Exactly where they should be. That evening, she didn't go straight home. She walked slower, took a longer route, paused near shop windows, studied reflections, testing, inviting, challenging. Her instincts weren't just awake now. They were reaching for me. I followed. Of course I did. Closer than usual. Close enough to hear her breathing when the wind shifted. Close enough to see the tiny pulse at her wrist. Close enough to touch. If I wanted. But I didn't. Not yet. Soon. When she finally reached her apartment building, she didn't go inside immediately. She stood on the sidewalk. Still. Quiet. Listening. The street hummed softly around her. Cars. Voices. Footsteps. Life. But underneath all of it, she felt me. Her voice slipped into the dusk like a secret. If you're real. A pause. A breath. Show me. My pulse slowed. Careful, Laner. You shouldn't invite things you don't understand. She waited. 5 seconds. 10. 20. Hope flickered behind her eyes. Curiosity burned brighter than fear now. And that was the moment I'd been waiting for. I stepped forward, just enough for my shadow to slide across the pavement, toward her feet. Not touching. Almost. Her breath caught. Her eyes dropped. Locked on it. On me. On proof. Her lips parted. Her heartbeat thundered in her throat. But before she could look up, I stepped back. The shadow vanished. Gone. Like I was never there. She spun around. No one behind her. Only empty sidewalk. Empty air. Empty space. Her chest rose and fell quickly. Her whisper trembled. I saw you. Yes. You did. From the darkness across the street, I watched her. And smiled. Because now she wouldn't sleep tonight either. Not from fear. From wanting. Slowly, she turned her head. I stepped back into shadow. Her eyes scanned the sidewalk. Empty. Her lips parted faintly. Not fear. Not relief. Something else. Something softer. Something dangerous. Anticipation. She whispered, barely audible. I know you're here. My chest tightened. Not from tension. From satisfaction. Because she was right. I am here. I've always been here. Watching. Waiting. Learning. Loving. She sat there for another full minute before finally picking up her fork. But she didn't eat. Her thoughts were somewhere else now. Not on food. Not on work. On me. Exactly where they should be. That evening, she didn't go straight home. She walked slower. Took a longer route. Paused near shop windows. Studied reflections. Testing. Inviting. Challenging. Her instincts weren't just awake now. They were reaching. Reaching for me. I followed. Of course I did. Closer than usual. Close enough to hear her breathing when the wind shifted. Close enough to see the tiny pulse at her wrist. Close enough to touch. If I wanted. But I didn't. Not yet. Soon. When she finally reached her apartment building, she didn't go inside immediately. She stood on the sidewalk. Still. Quiet. Listening. The street hummed softly around her. Cars. Voices. Footsteps. Life. But underneath all of it, she felt me. Her voice slipped into the dusk like a secret. If you're real. A pause. A breath. Show me. My pulse slowed. Careful, Laner. You shouldn't invite things you don't understand. She waited. 5 seconds. 10. 20. Hope flickered behind her eyes. Curiosity burned brighter than fear now. And that was the moment I'd been waiting for. I stepped forward, just enough for my shadow to slide across the pavement, toward her feet. Not touching. Almost. Her breath caught. Her eyes dropped. Locked on it. On me. On proof. Her lips parted. Her heartbeat thundered in her throat. Chapter 7. The First Touch. Laner told herself she imagined it. The shadow. The movement. The shape that wasn't there when she looked up. Her mind repeated the explanation all the way up the stairs, down the hallway, inside her apartment. Stress. Fatigue. Overthinking. Reason is a comforting lie. Her hands were shaking when she locked the door. Across the street, I watched her through the slit in the curtains again. Her movements were sharper tonight. Faster. Not frantic, never frantic, but charged, like electricity running just beneath her skin. She checked the apartment. Closet. Bathroom. Kitchen. Behind curtains. Under bed. Twice. Her breathing didn't slow after. Good. That meant she wasn't reassured. That meant she still felt me. She stood in the center of the living room for a long time, arms wrapped around herself, eyes fixed on nothing. Listening. Humans think silence is empty. It isn't. Silence is where awareness lives. Her whisper barely reached the glass. I know you're real. My chest tightened slowly. Not from surprise. From recognition. Because she didn't sound afraid. She sounded certain. She turned suddenly toward the window. Our eyes almost met again. Almost. I leaned back just before the angle caught me. Her gaze narrowed. Studying the dark. Searching. Waiting. You can't hide forever, as she said quietly. I smiled. Yes, I can. But I won't. She left the lights off that night. That was new. Usually she slept with the bedside lamp glowing faint gold beside her. Not tonight. Tonight she wanted the dark. Wanted the unknown. Wanted me. She sat on her bed, back against the headboard, knees drawn up, bracelet wrapped loosely around her fingers. She turned it slowly, watching the metal catch faint streetlight slipping through the curtains. Her voice was soft. Why me? I tilted my head. Such a simple question. Such a complicated answer. Why her? Because she listens to silence. Because she notices shadows. Because she feels things other people ignore. Because when she smiles, it's real. Because when she's scared, she doesn't scream. Because she doesn't know how extraordinary she is. Because she's mine. She lay down eventually. Not curled. Flat on her back. Facing the ceiling. Exposed. Trusting. Inviting. Midnight arrived. The city quieted. Wind slipped through the street like a whisper. I crossed the road. Slowly. Soundlessly. Every step measured. Every breath controlled. Her building door opened without noise. The stairwell smelled like dust and old paint. I climbed. 1 step. 2. 3. Her floor. Her door. Her side of the wall. Inside, she shifted. Not awake, but not fully asleep. Her body knew. Her instincts always knew. I stood outside her door for a long moment, listening. Her breathing. Her pulse. The tiny movement of fabric when she inhaled. Memorizing. Savoring. Resisting. Restraint is devotion. But devotion has limits. Tonight, I wanted closer. The lock clicked softly. Not forced. Not broken. Opened. I slipped inside. Closed it behind me. Silence swallowed the sound whole. Her apartment smelled like her. Warm. Clean. Soft. Real. My chest tightened slowly as I stepped forward. Closer. 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 She lay on the bed exactly where I knew she would be. Blanket tangled around her legs. Hair spilled across the pillow. One hand resting lightly over her stomach. The other near her throat. Always near her pulse. My gaze lingered there, feeling my own heartbeat slow to match hers. I stopped beside the bed, close enough to touch, close enough to breathe her in, close enough to hear the tiny change in her lungs when my shadow fell across her face. Her lashes fluttered. Not awake. Not asleep. Aware. Her lips parted slightly. A whisper slipped out. You came. Not a question. A knowing. Something inside my ribs pulled tight. Slowly. Carefully. I reached out. My fingers hovered inches above her wrist. Heat radiated from her skin. Life. Pulse. Proof. My hand lowered. My fingertips brushed her skin. The world stopped. Her breath caught. Not fear. Recognition. Her pulse leapt against my touch like it had been waiting for it. Her eyes opened. Slowly. Not startled. Not panicked. Just opening. Dark met darker. Her gaze found mine instantly. No confusion. No delay. As if she already knew what I looked like. As if she'd seen me 1,000 times in dreams she couldn't remember. Neither of us moved. Her voice was barely sound. It's you. Not who are you. Not how did you get in. Just. It's you. Yes, I said softly. The first word she'd ever heard from me. Her pupils widened slightly at the sound. Not fear. Something deeper. Something heavier. Her fingers twitched under mine. Didn't pull away. Didn't flinch. Didn't run. You're real, as she breathed. I tilted my head. I always was. Silence stretched. But it wasn't empty. It was full. Full of tension. Full of awareness. Full of something that hummed between us like a live wire. Her gaze traced my face slowly. Studying. Memorizing. Accepting. Her voice trembled faintly. You've been watching me. Not accusation. Understanding. Yes. No lie. No apology. Truth is the purest form of intimacy. Her pulse fluttered harder beneath my fingers. Still she didn't move away. Still she didn't scream. Still she didn't call for help. Instead, her hand shifted slightly, turning, until her palm rested against mine. Voluntary, deliberate, chosen. My breath slowed. Careful, careful, careful. You shouldn't do that, I murmured. Why? Because you don't know what I am. Her lashes lowered slightly. I know what you feel like. My chest tightened. Dangerous girl. And what do I feel like? I asked quietly.